At 2:17 a.m., my husband's phone lit up for the third night in a row. I wasn't trying to snoop, but when the screen flashed beside my pillow, something in my chest tightened. I told myself not to look. I looked anyway. I missed last night already. No name, just a heart. 12 years of marriage, reduced to one glowing notification in the dark. I didn't gasp. I didn't cry. I didn't wake him up. I just stared at him sleeping peacefully next to me. This was the same man I worked double shifts for when his business nearly collapsed. The same man I defended when people said he was selfish. The same man who promised me, at our wedding, that loyalty was everything. My heart didn't shatter. It froze. And frozen hearts don't react. They calculate. The next morning, I made his coffee exactly how he liked it. 2 sugars, splash of oat milk. I kissed him goodbye. Big meeting today, he said. Good luck, I smiled. But I didn't go to work. I followed him. He didn't drive to his office. He drove to the Magnolia Grand Hotel. And when I saw him step out of his car and open the passenger door for her, I understood something very clearly. This wasn't a mistake. This was a routine. They didn't rush inside. They laughed. She touched his chest like she'd done it 100 times before. I took pictures, not because I needed proof, but because I needed leverage. When he came home that evening, he kissed me like nothing had happened. And that was the moment I decided something. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. Because if my husband wanted to play games, he had no idea who he was playing with, and he definitely wasn't ready for what I was about to do next. Her name was Vanessa. I found that out within 48 hours. You'd be surprised what you can learn when you stop being emotional and start being strategic. She was 24, marketing assistant. No wedding ring. Instagram full of motivational quotes about knowing your worth. Apparently, her worth included sleeping with married men. But here's what bothered me most. She looked comfortable with him. Too comfortable. Which meant this had been going on for months. Maybe longer. I didn't scream. I didn't text her. I didn't confront him. Instead, I called a lawyer. A very good one. In our state, adultery still matters in court. And if documented properly, it shifts everything. Assets, custody, reputation. For 3 weeks, I collected evidence. Hotel receipts, hidden credit card charges, gift purchases, text screenshots. He bought her a bracelet that cost more than our daughter's birthday party. That's when I stopped feeling hurt and started feeling cold. Meanwhile, at home, I became the perfect wife. His favorite dinners, gentle smiles, soft touches. He relaxed. He thought he was winning. Then one night, I said casually, we should host a dinner party. He looked surprised. Why? To celebrate your promotion. He blinked. He didn't have a promotion, but he didn't question it. Because guilty men don't ask too many questions. They just hope. I told him to invite a few business contacts. I said I'd handle the rest. And yes, I sent Vanessa an invitation too, as his special guest. She replied within an hour. I'd love to come. Perfect. Because what neither of them understood was this. I wasn't planning a dinner party. I was planning an execution. And they were both walking straight into it. What happened that night would destroy more than just our marriage. For the next 10 days, I played my role flawlessly. I laughed at his jokes. I ironed his shirts. I even thanked him for working so hard for us. Every lie he told made my revenge sweeter. I could see the guilt fading from his face. He thought he'd gotten away with it. That's the thing about cheaters. They mistake silence for ignorance. The night before the dinner party, he came up behind me in the kitchen and wrapped his arms around my waist. You've been amazing lately, he said. I almost laughed. Amazing. If only he knew. Upstairs, hidden in my closet, was a folder containing printed hotel timestamps, photographs, screenshots, bank transfers, and divorce papers, already signed. I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was exiting legally. The house in my name, savings, documented contributions, his company shares, marital property. He thought he was risking nothing. He was wrong. The morning of the dinner, I set up something extra. A slideshow connected to the living room TV, labeled simply celebration. At 6:45 p.m., the guests started arriving. His parents, our friends, two major business partners. And at exactly 7:03 p.m., the doorbell rang. I opened it. Vanessa stood there in a tight red dress. She smiled politely. "I'm here for Ethan." "Oh, I know," I said warmly. "We've been expecting you." When Ethan saw her step inside, all the color drained from his face. And that was when I knew this was going to be perfect. But he still didn't know the worst part, because the real surprise was waiting behind the TV screen. And once I pressed play, there would be no going back. 14 guests, wine glasses clinking, low chatter filling the room. Vanessa sat stiffly on the couch. Ethan wouldn't look at her or me. Good. Let him sweat. I waited until dinner plates were cleared. Then I stood up and tapped my glass. "Before dessert," I said, smiling sweetly, "I'd like to thank my husband." The room quieted. He froze. "For teaching me something very important this year." Nervous laughter. His mother looked confused. Ethan whispered through clenched teeth, "What are you doing?" I ignored him. I walked to the TV, picked up the remote, and pressed play. The first image appeared. Him, at the Magnolia Grand Hotel. Date and timestamp visible. Gasps filled the room. Second slide. Them kissing in the lobby. Third slide. Text messages. Fourth slide. Bank statements. Vanessa stood up. "I should go." I locked the front door. "No," I said calmly, "stay." Ethan's father stood up slowly. "Is this real?" I turned to my husband. "You tell them." Silence. That silence was the loudest confession in the room. His business partner shook his head in disgust. His mother began crying. Vanessa looked terrified. And Ethan, he looked small, very small. But I wasn't done, because humiliation wasn't the goal. Consequences were, and I had one final move prepared. I reached into the drawer beside the TV, pulled out a thick envelope, and placed it on the table. "This," I said softly, "is where the real celebration begins." He didn't know it yet, but in the next 60 seconds, he was going to lose everything. The room felt smaller when I slid the envelope across the table. Ethan stared at it like it might explode. "Go ahead," I said calmly. "Open it." His hands shook as he pulled out the papers. Divorce petition, financial injunction, temporary custody filing. Signed, filed, stamped. His eyes widened. "You filed already?" "Yes." The guests shifted uncomfortably, but no one interrupted. Not his parents, not his business partners, not even Vanessa, because this wasn't drama. This was documentation. "You blindsided me," he whispered. I almost laughed. "Blindsided?" I stepped closer. "You've been sleeping with another woman for months. You spent marital funds on hotel rooms and jewelry." "I didn't blindside you, Ethan," I responded. He flipped through the pages frantically. The house, protected under premarital title transfer. Joint accounts, frozen pending review. His business shares, subject to division under state law. Adultery clause, cited with attached evidence. His business partner finally spoke. "Is this going to court?" "If he contests," I replied. "And if he does, this slideshow becomes Exhibit A." Vanessa's voice cracked. "Ethan, you said you were separated. The room turned toward him. He said nothing, and in that silence, she realized something devastating. He hadn't just betrayed me. He'd lied to her too. She grabbed her purse. "You're pathetic," she muttered before storming out. The front door slammed, and just like that, his fantasy walked away. But I wasn't finished. I turned to the guests. "I invited you here because secrets thrive in silence, and I refuse to carry shame for someone else's betrayal." His mother sobbed quietly. His father wouldn't look at him. And his biggest client? He stood up slowly and said, "Call me when this is settled." Then he left. Ethan looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "You planned this," he said. "Yes," I replied evenly. "Every second." But there was one more detail he didn't know yet. One clause buried deep in those papers. A clause that would change his future forever. And I was about to reveal it. After the last guest left, the house was silent. No applause. No shouting. Just consequences settling into the walls. Ethan sat down heavily. "You've destroyed me," he said. I shook my head. "No, you destroyed yourself." I just turned on the lights. He ran a hand through his hair. "We can fix this." Fix it. Like it was a cracked screen or a broken faucet. I walked to the kitchen drawer and pulled out one more document. "Forensic accounting review," I said, placing it in front of him. His face went pale again. "You used company funds," I continued, "not just our personal accounts." He swallowed hard. "The bracelet, the hotel upgrades, the business dinners, expensed improperly. If your board finds out before you disclose it," I said quietly, "that's termination. Possibly worse." "You wouldn't." "I already have." His phone buzzed. He stared at the screen. "Board meeting request. Emergency. Tomorrow morning." "You set me up," he whispered. "No," I said softly. "You got sloppy." Tears filled his eyes for the first time. Not because he hurt me, but because he was losing power. That's when I knew something important. He never feared losing me. He feared losing status. And that's exactly what was slipping away. I picked up my car keys. "Our daughter is staying with me tonight," I said. "You can pack a bag." "Where am I supposed to go?" I paused at the door. "I hear the Magnolia Grand has nice rooms." And then I left him there, alone in the house he thought he owned. But the real fallout? It was just beginning. Because the next morning, the board wasn't the only thing waiting for him. By noon the next day, everything changed. His company placed him on administrative leave, pending investigation. By Friday, he resigned. Quietly, no press release, no farewell email, just gone. Word travels fast in professional circles, especially when evidence exists. His largest client withdrew. Two more followed. Vanessa, she blocked him everywhere. Turns out she wasn't in love. She was invested, and the returns dried up. Meanwhile, I finalized the temporary custody arrangement. Primary residence, me. Visitation, supervised, pending court review. He signed without fighting. Not because he was noble, because he was exhausted. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. The house remained mine. Half the remaining assets transferred. His reputation? Irreversible damage. One evening, I saw him parked across the street, just sitting there, watching the house, watching the lights in what used to be his living room. I stepped outside. He rolled down the window. "I made a mistake," he said. I nodded. "Yes, you did." Silence stretched between us. "I miss my family." "You didn't lose your family," I replied calmly. "You traded it." He had no response. And that was the final consequence. Not the money, not the job, not the humiliation, but the realization that for a few stolen moments of ego, he sacrificed permanence. As I walked back inside, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not because I destroyed him, but because I refused to let him destroy me. And here's the truth no one tells you about revenge. It isn't loud. It isn't chaotic. It's quiet, calculated, and final. The lights inside my house glowed warmly as I closed the door. And for the first time in a long time, I slept without checking anyone's phone.